And we're live.
Yeah, we're live, yeah. Which actually, I think this technically, numerically, would be Series 4 Green Room. Because we had a couple of extra green rooms. So typically we go back and forth. So green room would always be the intro to I'm Telling You. Because we would do basically like a sit down, warm up. So when we have like guests on and stuff, it's like do an equipment check, make sure everybody's comfortable, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, for those of you at home, I'm like talking to, we got, speaking of, we have somebody in the studio. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Evan Dublion, most notably named. Yeah, I was invited to the show, so I thought I'd come by and have a chat with you guys. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I met you. I was sampling beer, so I'm a beer sales guy. Like people know this, but I was sampling beer and I saw your shirt, which I was just like, it says dope, like just big as shit, like dope. And I was like, bro, I love that shit. I was like, I say dope all the time. And then you like popped open and was just like full, show. And you're just like, yo, it's dope spaghetti. And we started bullshit. And I was just like, you're one of the, dude, you gotta come eat. We gotta hang. We gotta do this thing. And yeah, you showed up. So yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, dope spaghetti. It's been in the works for the last 2 years. So it's dope spaghetti, AKA dope spaghetti. Dope spaghetti's the store. AK Authentic is another brand of mine, and that's more cuts and textiles versus prints and streetwear.
Gotcha.
So yeah, dope spaghetti, don't forgetty.
I like that. Well, because she has dogs, so sometimes it's that's hilarious. But yeah, no, but that was the thing that got me to like start rapping with you, and then we just started going back and forth, and then you started getting into this aspect of like you said you're in Germany, but you're also working on a green plan and a bunch of other stuff like that. And so we started getting deeper into that aspect, which is where I was like, yo, you got to come check us out, because this is the kind of stuff that we're always talking about, spirituality, being good to yourself, making ways to be sustainable, and not in the sense of being able to like grossly use and still be able to replenish, but truly have like a coexistence in a sense.
Right. Yeah. So I look at it through, let me rephrase this. It took me a long time to understand what permaculture was.
Okay.
And that's because when, if you're talking to somebody who's used conventional farming or what have you, conventional building of houses and so forth, permaculture it's new, but permaculture just means the involvement of everything in doing one thing.
Right.
So you're informed about every cyclical effect of nature to plant a crop.
Yeah.
You don't just plant a crop and go, yeah, this is conventional farming. I'm going to throw some pesticides on there. I'm going to throw some fertilizers on there.
Yeah, you're not re-tearing up the soil, putting more carbon into the air and stuff like that. You're not, because you're literally letting the soil do its thing, because you're continuing the biological environments, and you're constantly growing so that, you have like spring cover or winter cover, or so that you're not losing the carbon. You're actually pulling more of it in,
right.
As well as water, so you're helping to maintain the aquifers and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, you want to sequester as much carbon as possible and release as little as possible. For every 1% of carbon additional to soil, you gain 144,000 liters per hectare of it. That's what the soil can hold.
Right.
And it won't run off.
Okay. So that's like just standard holding capacity in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, like my mother's backyard has notoriously been clay, hard soil. Never knew what to do with it. Over the last 5 years, I've been incorporating mulch and just leaving the branches to fall in as they may. The soil is black now. It's holding moisture. It's holding life. Other parts are like just blossoming and blooming like crazy.
Because you were developing loam at that point, right?
Yeah. The bacterial is beneficial, but the fungal is even more beneficial. Because the way I look at it is the fungal network is helping guide all the resources around. It's the network. So
we've had one of his favorite words is mycelium, which is the way the fungal network is actually like what it looks like. Is
Fungus.
Yeah, funny. This is one of his.
Because you're
things.
a fun guy.
Yeah, right.
that's right.
So that's why, as you're talking about it, because I've had these kind of discussions too. Because I mean, especially with like aquaponics and stuff like that, you really have to be aware of how many different bacterial, fungal, the whole thing, because it really is a balanced ecosystem, and one thing too much of can throw the whole thing out of whack.
Easily.
But when you have multiple layers and it's, like you're saying, the permaculture, when you have all that stuff working together, you have multiple layers, which means that it's less likely to be disturbed from having that same one thing.
You mean an abundance of that one thing?
Right. Like, I mean, if you had like some crazy runoff from, a storm and there was tons and tons of stuff in it, all you had was just the aquaponics, you're going to destroy that system. But if you have all these multiple things across the land and it has to go through all this, that, and the other, because I think that's part of how like you can what do you want to call it? Reactivate, springs and stuff to actually put water back into the aqua table and get the aquifer to come back to life as well. And with good water.
Yeah, so if you want to reactivate a dried spring, you have to bring the full water cycle back to the environment, because through all the buildup of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like strip malls and so forth.
Yeah.
Oh, I lost my train of thought there.
That happens all the time.
Dude, this is what happens here. It's all good.
So the full water cycle. On average, we only have a half water cycle. So the water, it rains, it runs down, it doesn't penetrate the earth, it goes into the waterways, it shoots out into the ocean, and it goes back up and comes back down. But in a full water cycle, it'll rain, the soil will hold it, it'll go into the depths of the earth, and then it will grab the minerals, come back up warm, right? Because it's warmer inside, geothermal activity. Come back up, feed the nutrients, feed the plants the nutrients, and then down the line, it comes back into the sky.
Right. So you're basically like putting it into the water table. It comes back up through as it like re-soaks and re-emerges itself, and then from there you get your runoff, creek, streams, etc., and it pushes eventually to the oceans, and then gets misted up, steamed up, and then right back all over again.
Right, like
There's your spring.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I did quite a bit of research into the whole desertification and like how we can, because it's huge in India where they're literally bringing fresh springs again because they're allowing for that cycle to happen where you can get the penetration from the rain getting in, holding, saturating, pulling down, going through all of its different layers, and then coming back out again. And it's just now you have a natural spring that's all clean because it's already run through the plants and everything else. And it's now you have potable, drinkable water.
Yeah, totally. And we were talking before about calcified well water. So that water would probably not have been through a full cycle because it's not clean as it wants to be. Water wants to be clean and happy.
Well, it's just hydrogen and oxygen,
rolls away
right?
from you, It has its own thing. Water.
Well, yeah, they say if water travels, what is it, downstream, it only has to be like a quarter mile to a half mile or something like that before it's been stripped of all the...
You were saying that. I said, what happens if I'm peeing upriver?
So, yeah, I actually want to do a test on that. I want to see...
So the rocks and the natural flora and fauna on the floor of the...
Even the flow
creek.
of the water itself helps to clean it. So says Victor Schauberger.
Well, I think...
Well, I would assume, when the particles hit the rocks, like just like we saw in the videos with the sound renaissance, where it was taking a disease and shaping it and separating it, I would assume like that's what the molecules would do. Like the bacteria molecules would like bounce off the rocks and somehow it would shake it to separate from the water and it could like filter it that way.
So there was a test done by Victor Schauberger, I believe, and his close associate, who was a forest ranger, I believe. And he said, where do you think the water is going to be warmer or cooler around this spherical rock, egg-shaped rock? And he said, I will assume that it will be cooler in the front, right? But it was actually cooler on the rear side.
Of the rock.
Yeah. So it's not that it's banging around, it's that it's smoothing out. Water, if you look at it, if you pour water down a glass window,
Right.
you'll see it wiggle, right? And you'll see that those wiggles, they're rhythmic and they move.
Right.
And that's a frequency. So water has a frequency. Healthy water has a different frequency than unhealthy water.
Yeah, we were what's the Japanese guy?
Well, and it'll channel too.
Yeah, there was
Like neural networks, it'll once it goes down a certain path, like you'll watch other
Join it.
on that same path, and then it'll create offshoots. And
yeah, because we were doing
chaos.
there's the one Japanese scientist that was
Love
doing
chaos.
he was basically like saying nurturing things to water.
And then you would freeze
and
it,
then,
right?
Yeah, the flash freeze on it for a molecule and like see what crystallization would come out of it. And then, see what it was.
see the difference between love or anger.
Yeah, well,
And it was-
because when you got to the one where he was like, all he did was, I think, play heavy metal music and yell at it and tell if it's like a horrible person and he wants it to die and stuff, and the water crystallized in this mutated, cancerous looking shape.
Yeah. I remember that, actually.
Yeah, so I mean, as you're saying, like water has frequency. Like, yeah, I mean, we've had that discussion before where there's it can obtain and
Dr. Emoto.
yeah, right. Because I always Domi arigato, Dr. Roboto.
It was Dr. Emoto, and I always remember that because it's like emotion.
Yeah.
Reminds me of emotion. But
Yeah, that's
my tie-in.
but that's true. I absolutely can see that. I mean, all things I think should relatively have its own frequency in that sense. I mean, that's why we get into like the Tesla, because it's all about thinking of in frequencies, vibrations, and it's like be on that level.
Right. So,
Yeah.
Nikola Tesla, who I think is a godsend, if you will.
I mean,
There's two others that I consider that most people don't, and that's Wilhelm Reich and Victor Schauberger. So when you have Tesla, who did electricity primarily, Schauberger, who did water primarily, and Wilhelm Reich, who did humanity primarily. Wilhelm Reich came out of, was it Carl Jung? No.
See, that's what I'm like. I feel like because I have a minor in psychology, so I've like read a bunch of abnormal and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like that name sounds familiar to me.
Well, Wilhelm Reich, he believes in orgone energy, depends on where you're from, I suppose. He developed an orgone accumulator, which he said could cure cancer. I would like to test this out. It's pretty simple.
Wasn't this the thing where you can create what you're talking about, however you pronounce that, but you can create a tower in your backyard that supposedly like it absorbs the negative radio frequency waves that are flying through the atmosphere and actually can improve your health and all these other things. Don't they make necklaces out of the material too?
So this is something different. This is something that encapsulates you.
Okay.
You don't stand under it or near it. It's you get into it or you get under it. They make blankets and they make boxes. At one point, it was illegal to cross state lines with one.
The laws we've had, man.
Well, that was to railroad the gentleman.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go on.
Yeah. So what is this?
So I want to do a bunch of tests using all three of these men's principles on a farm while doing clothes and fashion.
Well,
Fashion farmer.
That's what we talk about, man. Merchandising. That's how I mean, that's just a way to make money in a sense without having to like.
Well, and everything I do is organic. So I want be the change you want to see.
Yeah. Well, dude, we say that shit all the time.
And Primark can.
He's like pulling from our hit list right now. Like
I know, really, dude,
like,
bro,
what's going on?
Did I
only
just
watched
find
one
my
episode.
brother? Well, yeah, because the last guy that we had on was the dude he bumped into, Vic. He's a local artist, like 30 minutes from here or whatever. And he came in was telling a story where he was listening to one of our episodes to kind of get like into it before he came on the show, just to get an idea and such. And I did a like totally obscure quote from Sherlock Holmes, the Guy Ritchie version with Robert Downey Jr. And when I make the quote, he's literally like, all of a sudden, he's just like, wait, what? He's like, oh my God, did we just become brothers?
Boy, where'd that come from?
Yeah, that's the obscure line.
But it's like way in the back.
You don't even see the dude. It's literally off screen, and you just hear the guy. It's earlier in the movie when he kicks the big guy's ass, but the obscurity of the weird things that we do talk about and get into that stuff. That's why So it's like, dude, this is.
Well, that's definitely too obscure for me. Oi.
Well, yeah, because that's I don't know, and it's not so much my favorite scene. It's just like my favorite quote because it's just you literally don't even see it, and
no one will ever know.
But the fact that it penetrates that silence, you were saying right after.
Yeah, well, because there's massive battle where he more or less in his mind shows you how he's going to defeat this guy,
which is basically the samurai method. Yeah. To envision every possible outcome before even striking.
Well, it's playing chess.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so he does that, but then he physically does it, and the entire room all of a sudden just goes. And this is like underground boxing ring back in 1820s or some shit, whatever. I don't know, 1850s, 1880s. Yeah, I guess like late 18s because it was like turn of the Industrial Revolution. But so he just like totally obliterates this dude, tosses him through a freaking wall, and the entire room just like dead silence.
Chess boxing.
And this guy just pops out of the like, no, he's just like, oi, where did that come from? Because the whole time he'd be, Sherlock Holmes had been getting his butt kicked, and he was just like slapping the guy and like, dude, he's bullshit with him.
He would not punch him. It was like that was his rule, and like they never really talk about anything in the lead up or anything after that. But like when you watch him, it's a cat and mouse. He's toying with the guy, and he's at least twice his size, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's like this monster behemoth, and I'm sure everybody's got their money on this guy.
Well, of course.
And here's
freaking Goliath.
Here's this little,
Bruce Lee looking white dude.
Like he wasn't very big, he's a little short guy.
No, but if you looked at him, his physique was that of like Bruce Lee, where he was very much in tune with his body. So it's like what he eats and how he thinks. I mean, it was a whole.
Well, be like the water, right?
No, that's exactly it. I mean, because we were having that discussion is like, dude, what style is he using? Because it's obviously not something super traditional, the way he was striking and what he was doing and like how he was moving. So it's possible.
No,
I mean, you wouldn't have been.
That would be way too early. Never mind.
The British did have a large footprint in China, so it could be Wing Chun.
That was actually because I think it was a very direct art form, whatever he was using, and you made mention too, which when I was just listening on the way here, actually, you made mention of the fact that every time there's a block, there's a strike, and that's something with that style. Now, Wing Chun was what Bruce Lee originally learned.
Correct.
Before he started, and then he started kind of absorbing all different art forms, I believe. Was it before and after? Well, but he incorporated them all into his own, which eventually became Jeet Kune Do, which I believe was Way of the Water.
You would know more than I.
Okay, I'm just.
And yes, I believe you are correct.
The Way of Intercepting Fist.
Is that what it is?
The Way of Intercepting Fist?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In fact, ideally not with your face.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is our fact checker. She's so quick and in tune with what we're doing. She's pretty much like on the ball of what we were up and this is why we appreciate you.
Is a good Google.
Well, yeah. All right. So that's where we were.
What was that?
Wilhelm Reich.
How about Walter Russell?
I am unfamiliar by name.
Yeah, you should look him up. He's interesting.
Yeah, I would put him. So he introduced him to me, and he has. I mean, there's like journal and a whole bunch of other stuff.
There's a book that he wrote, and it's I would consider it like his masterpiece if he had just one. But I mean, the guy was an artist, and he was kind of he was dabbling in science.
Right.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's everything is.
But it was
related.
because he had a connection with that same space that Nikola Tesla would use.
In New York City?
No. Like that headspace.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
he went out for 2 weeks. From the time I think he was like 8 years old, he would go out into nature for like 2 to 3 weeks and just kind of become one with everything.
Right.
You know, like shed all material possessions or whatever, like basically like roll into the woods with like a knife or whatever so he can survive. And it's just.
Yeah. So, but my problem with those experiences, while they're fantastic and I love them, they're not for everybody. Not everybody can live up to that.
Right.
You know, not everyone can get out of the city and into nature because then everyone's in nature. Then everyone's there.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, the interesting thing that came out of this, though, the way I introduced it to Philly D here was that he would come out of these fugue states basically, and he refigured some things that were considered to be known constants about science because he looked at them differently. And it was, for me, it was a correlation to the idea Nikola Tesla had that everything is frequency and vibration.
Right.
Because the way that he saw the periodic table, this guy, Walter Russell, that he saw it as a spiraling of like as you go down through the chart.
Okay.
It was a spiral. It wasn't a graph like we show.
Well, I think that the spiral is the most conventional,
Natural,
abundant.
well, the golden mean, right?
The golden mean. I mean, look, you look at the galaxies are in a spiral. The planets move in a spiral. Water
flush
goes
a
down
toilet,
the drain
yeah.
in a spiral. Spiral. I mean,
Well, perception and understanding is gained in a spiral as well. Before you reach,
right.
the pinnacle, or whichever way you want to look at it, at the end of that spiraling, like you're always, everything new that you learn is building on what you learned in the past, and everything.
Oh, of course.
So everything exists within that. I agree. I mean,
Yeah, I
that's-
mean,
And it still
everything's
allows for it
related,
to
and
loop.
we tend to forget this, and that's where we get a whole lot of wastes. So, yeah, okay, our lives have improved over the last 100 years fantastically. Other people's lives have disintegrated into chaos and hell and putrid disaster.
True.
So that's the law of entropy. You gather some things over here and you make something pretty. Well, unfortunately, somewhere else, it didn't work out that way.
Yeah, I always say the rule 80-20. The at some point
Pareto
or another,
principle.
a little will have a lot and a lot will have a little. Like, I mean, science says this, the math says this, all economic systems will do this.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it's capitalism, communism, socialism. Every one of those isms, if it's an economic system, 80-20 is going to do it.
I think the only reason laws and rules should exist is to keep the 80% at the healthiest they can be, and then the 20% that are more or too much givers don't give to the point of poverty, right? And the ones that are takers don't take too much to the point that they're creating poverty for others.
Right.
I mean, you can't have these wealth gaps and a happy, healthy social system.
I can agree to that. This is where we get back into Jordan Peterson. I very much agree with his idea about the idea of having equal opportunity. You can't obviously have equal outcomes for everyone because that's not going to happen. There's going to be different rules and systems to allow for that to be. But if you give everybody the equal opportunity to have that existence on that minimal standard, because then they have to take faculty of it, do what they have to. Because, I mean, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Well, right. And not everybody wants the same things, and not everyone can achieve the same things. I mean, if someone's 5'2", they can't all of a sudden be 6'5".
Yeah, right.
Like, you could break their knees and lengthen their ankles and do everything that you want to do, but they're never going to be 6'5".
Yeah.
So we're limited by some things. I'm never going to be an airline pilot. I would think it would be cool, but I'm not going to put 500 people behind me and say, yeah, let's do this.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a good
what about
point.
6 to 8 people? You're like a Learjet.
I'll fly an empty airplane first. How's that? This thing's really light.
Like I think I could tackle like a Gulf Stream. Like I think,
Dude, now we're getting into what was that? Wasn't there the dude that freaking hijacked the plane like Grand Theft Auto style And he was literally
my
just
God,
flying it around and around. They're just like, and he's like, dude, this thing's so easy. He's like, I got hours and hours of, sim doing this stuff. He's like, I got this. But think about that, dude. Bro, just from playing Grand Theft Auto, literally found himself a jet.
Well, I think the
only
hardest
took
part
off,
is getting
but,
it
like,
turned on, right? You're like tick tack, tick, tick,
yeah,
tick,
there's
tick,
so
tick.
many buttons, like, right? Like, you don't know what all to be turning
And
on.
they're definitely not labeled like in full.
No,
It's
no.
like a little shorthand.
Mad acronyms all over the place.
Exactly.
Bunch of fucking consonants and
You just
dots.
get in and like hit the autopilot and just say point, go here.
I think you have
Siri,
to be in
take
the air
off.
for autopilot. It's like
do we do
hitting
that?
the speed button in your car when you get in. You're like, it's not doing it.
Just hit that first. Yeah, it doesn't really work.
Start.
It'll like turn it on first.
But yeah, so I mean, he had to have like done some research or some shit, I would think. Because you're
Just
not
to
going to
even
just
turn it
happen
on.
upon it, yeah,
Right.
and just be like, I wonder what this button does. Like they left the keys in this thing. No, that's not going to
Or if
happen.
you're playing flight sims, though, like,
Do you need keys
you'd
for
know where
a
all
plane?
I don't think so.
What about the
I
door?
mean, for the door, but not for the ignition. I would assume. I mean, I guess the door. I would assume the door is locked.
What's up with these airplane graveyards that are out there? Just these giant graveyards of airplanes. Have you've seen them?
what do
yeah?
we do with all this?
I mean,
It
why
just sits there.
don't we use them?
Dude, in Thailand
some
and stuff
people-
like that, they do.
Build houses out of them.
Yeah, I've
people,
seen.
right?
Yeah.
I've seen like restaurants. I've seen repurposing of it. Like, there's this one dude that travels Thailand, and he was showing like where they had like
Dude, that'd be an
hotels
awesome
or
restaurant.
hostels made out of them,
there's
basically.
thousands.
Yo, bro, call it the Crash. It'd be like a bar at night and like a diner style restaurant during
You
the
need
day.
a lot of land, right?
What's that?
To
Well, no,
put
you
a
just-
plane down on.
Well, you just buy a section of it. Hey, you just buy a section. They're not that big.
Fuselage.
So some planes do require keys, like cars.
Do they? So it's like
Smaller planes,
that's kind of
Okay,
cool.
okay.
and yeah,
I'm curious what that would look like. Like, to be like, yeah, I got my Ferrari, I got my house, I got my plane. Be like, wait, plane key? Guys, see the plane key?
Right.
I ain't never seen a plane key before. What you got?
We'd think it would have to have a lock somewhere on the door.
Let's do on the
Like, you know what
door.
I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, but not for the ignition. But she's
You
saying
don't
it
actually
sounds
put
like
the
for
key.
the
Like, wait. Oh,
Yeah.
wait. Oh, like,
oh.
on like fighter jet pilots, it's just knobs and buttons and switches. There's no key necessary, but it's in a more secure location. It just says with smaller planes, like puddle jumpers and stuff, where it's not insecure. It does require keys to gain access to the latches to the doors, and then it does require a key in the ignition, just like a car
Wow.
in most aspects.
See, dude, this is
Well, I guess the motors are different too, right?
but now it's
Those
just a
are
fob like everything else, right?
probably.
I just got my push start. There it goes. I mean, we were talking about the UFO technology being, with what they're talking about, being a neural connected control system. So beyond fiber optics, where you're literally talking to your jet just by like touching it.
Right. Well, you're neural linked, right?
Well, it's
Yeah.
it's an extension of you at that point.
Yeah. So by being connected to it, like you're plugged
so are we talking
in.
like a liquid metal here? I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, we don't know. So
Crystals. It's got to be crystals.
well, because
Picking up on magnetic, piezoelectric.
from what we're to
So
understand.
could crystal plasma somehow exist? Because I feel like you need to have,
Oh, like a medium to
yeah, like
like a gelatin that you stick your
well, not
fingers
necessarily
in. or-
jelly, but like an energy that you're manipulating. Because if you just
Well-
have a hard surface,
So that's,
I mean, maybe.
I think one of the things, because, we've
Well,
obviously,
blubber.
right,
Yeah, then you're bouncing all over the place.
well, we've done like a bunch of comparisons to like movies and stuff, and then listening to different, like conversations and interviews and things. And then the one thing I get is almost like if you had flat board and then you putting your hands over top of that board would get like almost a holographic interface so that you could do your thing.
Well, I
which
guess
we
you could
have
have, like, a
keyboards that
LiDAR,
are like that
right?
now. So,
Do laser.
well, yeah, that's the thing is they have it so that your device puts out and there's, a fake board and you can just sit there and like you're typing on it and there's nothing there. It's just picking up on the
Yeah.
strokes and it sees where you're positioned.
Well, they have those for computers, right? They have those red keypads that are lasers.
Yeah, where it's not a keypad, but it is.
It's just whatever surface you're on.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at that point. Apparently, I guess I don't know. It's probably. I mean, there's probably some that
would there still be autocorrect and typos?
fucking autocorrect.
Well, are we typing or are we flying a plane? I mean, what are you talking about here?
Dude, but so going from that technology to, like you were saying, where you'd have to have some form of an interface. Me personally, I would say from what I've seen or heard, I would like see it being in that kind of
cranial link or just.
Well, so think about this.
Just complete the circuit, like putting your hands on like two steel balls on either side of the captain's chair, like Flight of the Navigator or
Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah, dude, that movie, oh my God. I remember my uncle took me to see that in the theater because he was like a big special effects guy. So he took me to see like The Abyss and the Transformer movies and like all that kind of cool shit.
Liquid metal walnut.
But dude, it's so bomb.
And then it went into like a speedster mode and it was like,
yeah, and that's when the tail gets long, right?
Yeah.
It's like still round in the front. I mean, they're using thoughtful aerodynamics in it.
Well, I think
what seems reasonably,
but that seemed like the same idea that we were talking about, though, that the ship is kind of, it's organic. Like the ship itself is kind of a consciousness of its own.
In a sense.
Yeah.
It's almost like a human body waiting for the soul to be put into
it's
it.
It's a vessel.
Yeah. So it being the extension of whoever the pilot is, you get in and connect to it. However, whether it's you literally just, teleconnect where you think and it does it.
So like Wi-Fi. Or just goes directly to your brain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 'cause if that's all you, but if that's all you think on,
that's a product actually.
If that's all you do is think on and like you get away from the physical touching of things and then you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like that would be.
Does that mean you could get out and
park it?
You
need some more coffee, man?
I could use some more coffee, yeah.
Yeah, there's a fresh pot.
I can do that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, put the sugar back in
BRB.
Yeah, you can hang those there, whatever. See, this is what's cool about green room and shit, because it doesn't really matter.
And now while he's away, we can talk trash.
Isn't that the MO? Is that what he did? You can't hear us. Oh. But see, this is what I'm saying, bro. This is why I was like, when I bumped in Homeboy, I'm like, yo, this dude needs to come on and like bullshit.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. Did you give him talking points or something?
Because no, bro.
Like he's hitting like some of our top 10 list.
Well, dude, didn't Vic do that shit too, where he started like saying some of the same shit? We're just like, dude, we say that shit all the time. Say that shit all the time.
And that's the thing about not having video, because like the minute somebody says something and I'm sitting here looking at you, I'm pointing fingers, I'm like, like you're missing out on all that with just the audio. But
well, that's why I said we were talking last night about moving forward, and I still feel that video would be like super bomb. For I'm telling you, because again, this is green room. Green room, there is no cameras ever. It's like Vegas in here. We do what we want, how we want. It's just what it is.
Don't ask me no questions. I'll tell you no
don't
lies.
Start no.
Boy, where'd that come from?
Boy, that's what I'm talking about.
It's to come around. It's to come back. Come back again. Right? It's the echo
chamber.
I'm telling you, with the echo,
everything's better with echo. Echo.
Well, yeah, no, I think I was telling you the where we got the whole I'm telling you thing was the Biz Marquee thing, and I think I was, because I mean I feel like you went to like
super educated, smarter than Spock.
Yeah, like in order for us to be able to like, I don't know, kind of clearly give a better picture of what we do here, you got to know the origin. Like, dude, you got to know the Biz Marquee on that. So. I'm pretty sure I told you that shit, right?
You did.
I'm telling you, man.
And I love Biz Marquee.
How can you not?
Yeah.
Dude, because there's the when he does, I'm pretty sure he's drunk. And I think he was on like one of the Tibet tours with him or whatever, and he does Benny and the Jets with Beastie Boys backing him up. So they're playing the instruments and he's singing, he's butchering it. Well, because he gets to the point where he's doing the verses and you're like, dude, he's not saying the words. Either he doesn't know the words, but I mean, he's got the rhythmic notes, so it's like he knows the song. But it's like, dude, that's not the lyrics, bro. Like, dude, the Biz is wasted doing a band.
He's just making the sounds.
Yeah, well, getting drunk on stage it's a timeless classic.
I've never seen it. I think I saw this version, I think I saw a video of it. And that's why I was like, I think it was a Free to Bet concert. And yeah, it might have been like one of their encores or something, or maybe the Biz just busted in. He's just like, the Biz is here. And they're just like, all right, the Biz is here. Let's play something for Biz.
I'll say it again. I really think beatbox has to be a language of its own.
Oh, it's like Men in Black too.
Yeah. That song got me. I was like, wait, they're talking right now?
Well, yeah, because that was when the Biz and Will Smith were beatboxing back and forth, and there was like them speaking. It was like their language.
I'm pretty much the worst beatboxer there is. I've been trying for 25 years and I suck still.
Oh, man, but you know what? Hey, if
It's practice.
not
practice,
like
practice.
not everybody,
Well, I'm good at other things, you know. It's
Yeah, not
I'm
everybody
trying to
can
get
do
on stage and
everything.
beatbox.
yeah.
I'll get up on stage and tell jokes, tell my stories.
I mean, I guess if you worked on it long enough, eventually, but you know, it takes dedication.
I have a small tongue.
Well, you know, we don't
Put it to work.
don't judge you for that.
Hey, it's not the size of the boat; it's the motion of the ocean.
Right.
Right. Oh yeah, no, I guess that would physically hold you back a little bit from making quite a bit of sounds.
Well,
that's
I mean, you can't do everything, you know. And
That's
why
true.
should you want to do everything? Like, who are you? You're not God. Whether you're religious or not, I don't know. I mean, I'm not.
I would, you know, if we're going to talk about the construct of like space and time, yeah, there's only so much space and time for you to ingest information anyway. So for you to learn all that stuff and still do it well, you're not going to. So
Well, I
why
mean,
would
yeah,
you
you have
even?
to pick and choose. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to live a life? If you want to live a life, you can read and learn all the time. Or you want to be in academia and you can be in school for the rest of your life learning and helping others learn.
I think we're all God.
Well, we are. That's right.
Unrealized.
And we're all dogs because we're good peoples. And dogs are good peoples.
Oh, I wasn't sure where you were going with that, but yeah.
Just jazz them. Little jazzercise there for you.
I figured it was.
Men are dogs.
Well, I figured it was the play on, you know, God and dog is.
Yeah, it's just
The,
that.
the flip. The
Yeah,
flip, yeah.
that's what I was. What if CAT really spelled dog?
It might in a different language.
That was
We agree upon these things, right?
Revenge of the Nerds 2. They get freaking they get stranded on the island and they find freaking Booger finds Bush and they start smoking it and they freaking get
got
Ogre.
Bush.
I don't
They get
remember that
Ogre.
scene.
Yeah, that's where because they take them off island so that they can't be a part of the vote or whatever.
If they play that on TV now, do they take that scene out?
They might. That
they
might
probably
be why.
blur it. I don't know.
Because I've only ever seen it
See?
on TV.
Mandela effect.
Yeah, right. Maybe.
It's like that scene never existed now.
Oh no, dude. If you
It's been marked out.
right, do you know what the Mandela effect is? Have you ever heard of it?
I've heard of it.
So it's a time.
Did we get you to actually look up the actual definition? Okay.
Yeah. Which all right. So quick, you know, overview.
Your understanding of the Mandela effect.
Correct. Yeah. Is that it's a knowledge difference, whether in recalling or knowing. So more or less something from the past you recall as this, yet how everybody else more or less around you recalls it as what it is. And it's represented as the idea of if you had alternate perception of another reality or something was changed where originally when you were a kid, it would have looked like this. But now all of a sudden it's like being you are a part of this part of the world in this timeline where it exists like this. And it's just like, wait a minute. That's not how I remember that Ford logo. Like, didn't it used to have this thing? And the reason why they call it the Mandela effect is because when Mandela was imprisoned, there was a small, and you can find
Wait,
articles.
this is Nelson Mandela effect?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but just Mandela, not Nelson.
Right,
It's
yeah,
just-
yeah, but it's named after him.
because the first idea of it was there is evidence that there was, you know, papers, what the hell do you want to call that? But like magazines, all that kind of stuff. There was a small amount where it said that Nelson Mandela had died while in prison,
Right.
when in fact he's actually quite alive and doing his thing.
Right.
So it's the question of did that actually happen, or did people have a perception of an alternate reality and express that? And it's like, no, this is the world we live in.
Oh, well,
So-
powers that be will do a lot to make it seem like people don't exist.
Well, and I mean, so there's that as well. And that's why I think some of the other parts of the Mandela effect is also like, yeah, you can find alternate Ford logos and a couple other emblems and things where it's like, yeah, don't you remember it like this? And it's like, what about this one? It's just like, wait, what the hell's that?
History is written by the winners.
Well, that's what I always say.
And they always depict themselves as gods.
Typically.
Snooze.
Yeah,
So the actual definition of the Mandela effect is an unusual phenomenon where a large group of people remember something differently than how it actually occurred. With the conspiracy theorists, like he was explaining with Mandela, when they thought he died in prison when he actually didn't, amongst other things like the GIF logo. Other people think it's Jiffy, and it's really just GIF, or certain things like that, or seeing a character where you think is there but really isn't in real life.
Yeah, the human brain is weird, and the way that we store and recall memory is actually not as accurate as we'd like to believe.
Well,
so like if somebody witnesses a crime...
The last time we remembered. We don't remember the original incident. We remember the last time we recalled it.
You recreate it from that, though. You recreate it from the most recent recollection of it.
Right.
So you're not remembering the original.
Right.
So whatever, what if you might have...
easily. That's whispered down to the lane in your own brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. That explains why I'm so slow at shit. Sorry. Moment of clarity. It's not my fault.
The brain RAM.
No, I always just pick on myself because...
Oh, by all means, so do I.
I mean, I think you should. It's healthy.
I think I should pick on you, too.
You do.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing for you.
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. Well, no, I'm laughing with you.
Yeah, no, I'm not laughing. Bro, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. I'm not laughing. Then I'm laughing for you.
Right.
You needed to laugh just then. I was helping you out.
I could tell that you needed this and you weren't willing to, so I had to put that out there. That's how that goes. Oh, dude, I love how we started with like permaculture and shit, and now we're like on the Mandela effect, man. Like that's...
Well, we started with dope spaghetti.
Yeah, don't forgetty. Yeah, dopespaghetti.com.
Googleable.
You can Google it.
I kept
And speaking of which, you brought a bunch of stuff.
I brought some samples for you guys to have a look at.
We don't have video, unfortunately, but
no. But what we can do is we can take pictures of it, and then I can put that up for the YouTube and all that stuff, as well as on when I Facebook this and.
When I say Google it, I'm using it as a verb. I actually am not in love with Google.
Yeah, no, dude, Google. Yo, so I was watching this thing about priority knowledge, where it's like when something becomes so commonplace, you technically lose the patent because it's now like the thing. So Google has been trying to get people to stop using it as like verb.
Nope, I use it as a verb.
Well, because if you keep doing it, it now becomes a common thing. Google could technically lose its trademark on its own name.
Sure.
I don't care.
Right. I know, right? Yeah. I don't think anybody of us. Yeah,
I'm not in the least concerned about how much power Google has. I think they have plenty already. So,
but I just think that's hilarious, though, the way the laws are written, and it's just like, and there's nothing they can do about it. So they're literally somebody was showing, they're like, yeah, they have campaigns that they're putting together to kind of like.
Well, I can say this: there is no deep state, and there is no connection between government and Google or government and Amazon, except for the contracts that they do have. Otherwise, there's no connection besides the contracts that they do have.
Follow the money. Follow the money.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Excuse me.
Well, that's true. What's it? Who did? Oh God, I think it was Bezos. I think he just contracted $22 billion for making 140,000 freaking AR screen something or other for the military. Ridiculous contract for just more tech equipment.
He stepped down from Amazon, didn't he?
Well, I mean, it doesn't mean he's not getting the money.
No, I'm just saying he did step down as.
Well, that's so he can pursue other things
as operator.
Yeah, so he can put his dick in space.
His dick and balls. Let's be accurate.
Does it have balls? I thought it was just
I believe it kind of does. Yeah.
It has at least one ball in there.
okay. No, it was in like the fucking Austin Power movies or whatever, where like they're like, "Hey, it's get your nuts here."
I sold popcorn at Disney on Ice once.
Yeah.
That shit sucked. So I ran into an old friend and he was like, dude, I'm doing Disney on Ice. It's great. I'm touring. It's awesome. And I was like, all right, I hate my job. So I quit and I went and tried it out, right? I was supposed to sell popcorn for like $15 or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I was like, popcorn, get your popcorn. And this is down in Center City, Philadelphia. And I hated it. I hated it so hard. I ended up owing money because someone stole it from me when I had my head turned yelling popcorn. Some dude just stole the popcorn from me, like one package. So I had to pay them. And then
I don't think they're legally allowed to do that.
it's Disney, dude. They get away with whatever they want.
I don't know. How much paperwork did you sign to do this job?
I left in the middle of the night and just went over to my friend's house.
Were you talking about taking it out of your paycheck?
Dude, they just like,
No, I had to give him cash money, as far as I recall.
Sorry. That's any other normal company. That's a loss. And you write in your,
well, that's what I'm saying.
there's a
It's like,
certain amount of
Here's the
loss
thing.
that
It
you
was
expect.
in Philly, and I'm not OG Philly. I'm OG LA, but I've been here long enough to put this on my arm. Love and hate. Philly font. And I'll come back to this in a minute. But I wasn't going to admit that I got something stolen from me, even though I clearly did, you know? I was like, I'll pay for it, I guess. My ego's too
I was
big.
hungry.
you're right. Oh, but still, man.
So this hate tattoo in the font of Love Park, it scares me coming back to the Japanese scientist who was working on
Oh, the Dr. Emoto.
influence on
Water.
water, right?
Yeah.
So I have this on my left hand. I'm left-handed. Fortunately, it hasn't fallen off. And I don't really find that it's truly detrimental to have the word hate tattooed on me. Maybe because the A's crooked.
I mean, I don't.
I do have love. I mean, it's, you know. And then in the middle, I have peace life.
Well, I mean, when you
Instead
see
of
it,
thug life.
when you see it as a piece, you can make sense of it that it's the dichotomy of life. I mean, there's no.
Well, yeah. I
Right.
mean, that's what my.
If you're
shit
looking at
is.
just the hate part, and like somebody doesn't see this sleeve over here, you know.
Well, I used to be a fishmonger, and I would use the hate arm to hand people the fish. And they were scared of many customer. I heard. And,
No, that wasn't towards you. I'm sorry. I guess.
and then I
really
switch
didn't
arms.
think about that
you know,
before.
Bro, my right sleeve is hell, my left sleeve is heaven, and my back is purgatory or earth or the in between or the id, the ego, and the super ego, or
Right.
you know, being good or evil or finding that balance. And so, like, dude, my sleeves and my back are all one piece, showing, like he was saying, the dichotomy of man. And
Right.
Is left has just always been given the negative connotation. hasn't
no,
it?
this is heaven,
that
bro.
one's heaven for you.
Yeah, man.
But you're.
Well, I'm left-handed. I don't know. I mean,
I'm left-handed too, but left has always been. You know, the Catholic Church has always made the left side of
well,
the
for the
He's the
Westerners,
devil. Burn him!
the Westerners,
Burn
they
him!
like to be in control of stuff, you know.
like the left is evil. It's always your left shoulder you throw the salt over, isn't it? It's
What are you doing wasting salt?
well, that was when you spilled it, that you would.
Oh, it's so fancy. You got salt to throw around.
Roman
don't you?
soldiers were paid in salt, and that is the
Salary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is that like when the Russians got paid in vodka, like way back in the day, because they didn't have any money? Here, have some vodka. Okay. Good.
Well, I mean, if you all right, so like you got to consider this. Only recently did we consider having all these things a necessity,
right?
because
right.
otherwise everything was. I mean, if you look at paintings from 1800 and beyond of normal people's lives, it's like just sad. You know, you're like
like
but they
picking
didn't have
beets in a
paint
field.
or anything. You know, what they do? Paint that with mud.
Yeah, well, crushed berries, maybe you might
Yeah.
do a little.
That's another thing. Paint technology really has been a thing. Like blue, or whatever. Blue, some blues are so rare that they're like half of what makes the painting valuable.
Oh wow,
The
really?
ink.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
When you go far back enough, I mean,
I can
where
believe that. Yeah, yeah.
Artists would actually have to make their own paints.
Well, of course.
Yeah. You wouldn't just go out to the paint store and pick up your.
And I'll be like, hey, Earl, did you get some more of that fuchsia in? And I really wanted that magenta number 7.
Like, I don't know if there was hobby shops.
Nah, there was not.
No, they would
like
press up petals of flowers and like different herbs and stuff in order to get the colors or textures as well as other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Oils are probably the longest history, right? Like linseed oil and stuff like that. Like,
I guess.
the tools we use now, the oils.
As far as like canvas,
I'm not a
brush.
painter. I don't know.
Yeah. We can ask her. She's good at that stuff. She's super dope.
I like painting, but I don't consider myself a painter. Right?
We like receiving paintings. Like this is from our dude Vic. It's a corporate empire. You know, it's our stormtrooper in a suit, which I think is just straight up comical.
Actually, I meant to bring you each a print of this, but last night I had to prepare dinner for family and friends, so I only had so many moments. But you were each going to get one. See, now you're eyeballing this and that.
No, I'm totally eyeballing your collection here because I'm like, I might have $1 or $2 I could free up. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, no, I
like that black sweatshirt.
I like a black sweat.
Which one? The hood watch?
Yo, I'm getting the no, dude.
The one with the white logo.
I'm gonna give me. I'm ordering that. I was like I said, I want to sit down with you first and go over some stuff. But yeah, I still want to get that one because just from reading the text on it, like where it's like, dude, you're not Snake Eyes, you're not.
Well, here, check it out. I'm gonna grab a sample for you to put your hands on.
He's gonna let me touch stuff.
Oh. Ooh.
Oh,
sounds so dirty.
Well, yeah, because we also had a question because of the.
Oh yeah.
Is it because it says jersey lined? Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so it's all organic cotton, and then the inside
double
of those
double
is a
line
t-shirt, right?
Yeah, it is. Because she was like, "Oh, that sounds like it's going to be so soft." I was like, "Yeah, doesn't it? It is." Yeah, no, it's exactly as we imagined it, for sure. Oh yeah,
and then I'm wearing this one too.
Yeah, this is soft as shit.
I actually wore this in a music video. The OG the OG Akai, the red one.
Right.
I wore it in a music video, and then after the rap, I spilled wine on it.
Yeah.
Red wine.
Oh.
On my white hoodie.
Dude, that's
sucker.
You just made a tie-dye.
Yeah, right.
Roll with it.
Bleach stain is what I'd made.
Yeah, so let me ask you this. What is where did you come up with the idea for Hood Watch? Like, what does that mean to you?
So, yeah, like I said, I'm not originally from Philly. I'm OG LA. I was born out in LA. Came over here when I was 5. But I remember the neighborhood watch signs.
I know, dude, they were all over the
And they're
place.
super cool. Like, I want to be that dude that's robbing poor citizens. I don't want to rob people, but I want to be that guy that's pictured.
Yeah, you want to be the hood, and it's just like, look out for this
he looks
person.
like a noir detective.
He's like a 1950s Dick Tracy character where you're just like, oh, that guy's up to no good.
Right. But
it was horrible.
People that dress like that were usually upstanding citizens, you know?
Yeah, right. Well,
He wants to be who Ruff McGruff is chasing.
Well, so like, all right, so I grew up in San Bernardino County.
Okay.
So same thing, dude. We had those placards in our neighborhood to try to make us feel safe, and it's like, dude, the cops don't even come here.
Right.
What is that like, dude? There's no neighborhood watch here.
We had a neighborhood watch out in LA.
Yeah, we did too.
The one dude was so gun ho. It was like, bro, chill out.
Yeah, it wasn't like, cats walking around with flashlights and shit. It was just all the OG Vatos.
This is not a militia.
Protecting their neighborhood.
I mean, the best thing to have is grandmothers.
Dude, abuelitas,
grandmothers.
Dude, they know everything.
They're
scary.
reprimand you.
Right. Yeah, right. Dude, this is not a joke, man. You were thug as shit until Abuelita said something. As soon as she got like her chancla, you're just like, oh, I'm fucked up. Shit, dude.
Not the chancleta.
Dude, yeah, because
you got love in your heart.
And it didn't even have to be your grandmother.
Right.
Back in the day, it was like,
oh yeah,
man, you didn't want to mess up and have grandma see you.
well, no, because they all knew each other. And they're going to tell each other at church or
That's the
something.
thing. Like, you could be
It's like, I saw Michael the other day. You're just like, oh,
straight
shit.
up gangster suddenly reduced to a child. Like,
oh yeah. Dude, this is not a joke. You see like
you want
grown
me to
ass,
tell your mother? No.
yeah, grown ass men pretty much just dropping. Be like, no, we good. No, I didn't. Shit, I was over here. Isn't that my mom? My mom was calling me. I got to do that thing with the yard or gonna.
That's right.
Hey, real quick side note before you ruin another hoodie. If you ever spill red wine on anything, white vinegar takes it out.
Yeah, good.
I thought she was like talking to me for a second. I was like, oh no, what did I do? Oh yeah, no, that guy. He's the one. I didn't ruin shit. Oh, yeah,
I make
bro,
a habit of ruining at least one thing.
check the hoodie out.
My friend would just have a gallon by her couch, and every time I'd be like, why do you have a gallon of white vinegar next to your couch? And then there would be a bottle of wine next to it with like a spilt wine glass, and always it worked.
White vinegar is super good for many things. You can make pickles.
Pickles are pretty dope.
My husband uses it to weed the driveway.
I kind of like.
See, and with the hood watch.
Oh yeah. Well, because that's the acidic
down,
nature.
You can still see the hood watch.
Ah, yeah.
Which is kind of ironic because you can also see the hood of the hoodie.
Right. How meta.
I have the worst dad jokes. Yours are worser though. So
I am a big fan of the Blazing Bonsai one too. That's for like all you sports balls fans teams.
Dude, it's almost like
Sports balls.
well, it's like Balls of Fury meets Karate Kid meets like 80s arcades. Like it's
Down at the dojo.
Yeah, basically, right? But like it really just encompasses all of what would have been like awesome and Asian in the 80s. Like you how could you ask for more than that?
Well, so yeah, I mean
It needs like running
the
pants that go
goal,
with it.
right?
Right?
The hammer pants.
Yeah, it needs running pants that go with it that match the stripes.
Some
on them.
either some
The
parachute
more
pants or
my
the fucking
clothes look like
zippers.
80s clothes, the happier I am. That's pretty
Yeah.
true.
Bro, I've been rocking like jeans and t-shirts since I was like 12 or 13 or something.
Right.
Because I mean, I saw it was overalls because we had overalls back then. That was like the jams, right?
Right. Literally jams.
Yeah, we had the jams. Yeah. Dude, oh man, dude. Luckily, there's not too many photographic evidence of that, but
I never had jams.
I had at least one pair of jams.
My mom had to,
Or maybe they were
sew me
skids
some.
or something.
My mom sewed me jams. They were terrible. Love you, Mom.
She jammed you up.
She jammed me.
oh, that's fucking dope.
You're taking all my cred, Ma.
Like, I can't wear that. Everybody's going to know.
You're right.
They're going to know.
Everybody knows.
They're going to know.
All right. Well, I think we're at a good spot. So if we want
Everybody
to
knows.
take a break and then we can come back and do
Georgie.
you. Yeah, right. They're all gonna laugh at you.
They're all going to laugh at you.
Don't forgetty.
Yeah, no. Do go ahead, blast yourself again. Where people can reach you. Any and all. I mean, any and all places to get at you, find you. I mean, if you're doing other, gigs or stuff, or you were
Well,
talking
I'm
about
on the
your-
road right now, so I got to get back to the Vaterland. I'm not even German. I guess I am German. My family's from Ulm.
Do you speak like German or
Ich kann Deutsch, ja, nur ein bisschen.
like enough to get around, or like you feel
Enough
pretty
to get around in a taxi cab, yeah.
Oh, dude, that's pretty fluent. Yeah, no, that's pretty good. Yeah, I would say
I
that.
take the train. I'm not a taxi guy.
You're like, actually, I ain't got taxi money. What do you?
Actually, I ride my bike mostly.
Dude, Europe is very, you get a lot, but everything's very compact in that sense. Like the cities are very together, so you got pretty much everything.
Well, okay, so the city is the city, right? Here, you kind of have this spill where the city becomes the suburbs and then becomes rural and then becomes strip malls, right? In Germany,
Or that it's like
in
a
Europe even,
A slow waning.
right?
as you
In
go
Europe,
out,
you have
yeah.
like city, countryside,
Boom.
Yeah, right.
village, city, countryside. And that's just the way it is all over the place.
Yeah.
They didn't have like this westward expansion where they're like, just take it over,
Yeah.
dominate, it's all.
Yeah, you need. We talk very much about that. You gotta have, dude. It's moderation for everything,
Yeah, big time.
and you can.
And the slower you go, the better the quality is. I mean, take lumber, for example. Old lumber, quality. New lumber, garbage. They raise it to grow too fast.
yeah, they
so it's not
grab it
as-
way too soon because they want product. They just it's about money. I say that about a lot of things. Once,
Well, you can have things about money and still have quality.
Yeah,
It's
but-
about not gouging the consumer and lining your pockets as much as you can before you go to jail I mean, that's the way they treat it.
I mean, in America, that seems to be the
Like, just get it
MO.
while it's good, because otherwise you might go to jail next week because you're such a criminal. I mean, behind every great wealth is a crime, right? A great crime.
Dude, you know what, man? Like, that's always been one of my favorite sayings about American business is like, if you show me an honest businessman and I'll show you a man going broke.
See, that's a fallacy, though.
It's not what you're doing, son. It's what you're caught doing.
Right. See, like these things, they're what drive that greed.
Well, so I say it in the means of if you're not looking for any tax break you can get where you're like, hey, listen, dude, I'm playing by the rules, but you're looking for ways to do things. Okay, cool. I understand that you're working within the rules. Like that's there's a difference of that and the people that are just like straight up blatantly doing what we're aware of, but there's no paper trail in a
So
sense.
my green plan is restore, rejuvenate, renew.
Okay.
All right. We'll come back to that. But there are absolutely ways to give the power back to the citizens through community efforts by the community. You know, we don't need to rely on people, but it's very difficult to get ourselves together to rely on each other.
I was just kind of going over this stuff with my dad and like stuff that like I'd love to see it change, but it has to change kind of like grassroots style because, his argument with me was I went on and on for like 10, 15 minutes talking about if you just change one thing about, so what was I saying? That, so major networks, right? Major television networks now make money off the news, where a long time ago that wasn't like the news was the news.
It was like their responsibility to deliver you the world's events.
They did that for free.
Right. It was their responsibility.
Like they made money in the programming and stuff that went around the news, but the news itself was held.
It was like NPR back in the day.
And now it's entertainment. So it's a whole, like, I don't even
infotainment. It's entertainment.
It's entertainment.
Yeah.
Because it's always somebody's opinion about something instead of just
they're selling ad time.
This happened, that happened. They're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, they're show
It doesn't
creating.
sell.
The war right now, vague. The information coming out, vague. They're like, they were bombed.
If you watch US
They were
media,
bombed and people died here. They don't say who did it or where they are. They just say,
Yeah, well, 'cause,
we were getting bombed. By who?
yeah.
By who? The Nazis or the Muslim Chechens? Or the, I mean, who?
I'll tell you what, man, I was watching this thing with Joe Rogan and he was talking, dude, there's a massive German population down in South America where like there's towns where they literally only still speak.
You have no idea.
No, right?
Dude,
how much I know about this, and it's ridiculous.
So, Jude,
I watch these documentaries.
This is trying to wrap up, and now it's like,
sorry. Oh my God, this fascinates the heck out of me. So I was watching documentaries. Come to find out, Hitler never died, and he was rebuilding the Nazis in South America. And they found compounds in the jungle that included like all this stuff. And come to find out, in the 70s, they weren't even concerned about him because they thought he was gone. And all this was happening, and he was actually in the process of getting dirty water and producing uranium or plutonium, whatever one creates with the dirty water. But in order to bomb New York, and they got so close to doing this, it was insane. Like how many things that the FBI and all this like literally fell through the cracks, and they were researching this back in 2014 or 2008 when Obama declassified the files. Okay. I'll stop there. But it's amazing how that, like, I know so much crap about this.
Well, what's 100% true.
He's hanging out with Tupac and Biggie, right?
Is the Argentinian government was like a third Nazi in 1922.
Yes. And they had so many schools that they were taking the children from the villages and like the little urban areas, and they were building up. And to this day, they still will not speak. They are still very evasive when you ask them questions in those areas because they're still afraid of like the power that the Nazi power has in those countries.
There's
it's
a large
insane.
percentage of twins in certain parts of South America too.
Twins.
Twins, yeah, like medical experiment twins. So all the medical experiments that were coming out of Nazi Germany, right, as the war fell apart, or well, not the war, but as Germany fell apart, there were huge pipelines of Nazi scientists getting sent over to.
Well, yeah, because there was Operation Paperclip where we took as many like as we could.
But
Russia
also
took a
through
couple,
the Red
but
Cross, they were
there was
going down
some that
into
like
South America.
disappeared. Yeah, they were moving all of their work.
Who
basically.
was the?
It's like the Underground Railroad for
The Mossad caught, yeah, exactly. The Mossad caught a few Nazis in South America. They made a movie about it, one of them. Nazis played by Gandhi, the actor that plays Gandhi.
Sir Ben Kingsley?
Yeah, exactly.
Sir.
Oh, yeah, he was knighted, bro.
They talked to this,
Dude,
on this thing, they talked to this woman. She was adopted and didn't know her entire life that her adopted father, she was adopted in the 50s, mind you, okay, timeline with Hitler. Her adopted father was Hitler's number 2 man, Martin.
Martin Goring.
Martin.
Yeah. So it like, there's even like documents that prove like even he still made it out. They proved that there's underground tunnels from where the compound was to where like the railroad lines or the subway is underground, and they found like all this.
Well, I think it was World War II when we started going underground. When we started building these huge cavities in Earth.
But he had all these stuff done and an escape route in plan, like well before he needed it.
Well, let's look at it this way. I mean, follow the money, right? A lot of American companies invested in Nazi Germany. They helped build the concentration camps, which were actually labor farms, right? So they would just work the prisoners to death because that was beneficial to them and their cause. And the corporations would get raw materials that were good for their cause at a fraction of the price.
Right.
You know, a lot of those Mercedes that they're driving around in Nazi Germany had Ford motors. Right? I mean, even right now, the U.S. still buys its space rockets from the Russians.
You mean like the actual motors?
The actual rocket technology.
rocket.
Yeah, we're buying it. To send something to space, it's a Russian rocket. We don't have the ability to make space rockets.
We lost the technology.
Yeah, our
that was
dude
what we were
was
talking about.
Yeah, we got a buddy who's
There
like
were people in
super
the States
fucking
that knew this stuff, but there were
they
you
were
can't look at their notes because
they were hand
so
built.
much of it was
it was like this was their thing. They would make these from scratch basically. I mean, they'd build them by hand. And
But 3D printers will help resolve that.
that's too. That's what homie's into.
But you'd still have to kind of get a grasp on what it was they did with, you know.
Well, yeah, well, because that's what he was. He said they were.
Well, there's always thinkers out there. I mean,
they were 3D.
So it does say that we just get our engines from them, and they actually halted that in March.
okay. This year though, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
of course, because you know.
Elon Musk is one of the people that's trying to figure out what it is about this technology that we've lost within a 50-year time span.
Elon Musk said one of the dumbest things I ever heard. He said, we're going to capture carbon and use it to propel ourselves into space. Okay, what does that mean? You're going to take it and then use it and throw it right back into the air.
Well, yeah, because if you're using it, because I mean, matter doesn't disappear; it just changes.
Right, but he's saying, I'm going to capture it all from the air and I'm going to spit it right back into your face while I leave the planet.
Pretty much, that's what it sounds like.
That's literally what he's
We're going to use CO2 farts to move us in space.
I think electricity is the way to go, and magnetic levitation would be preferred over rocket propulsion.
Well, that's what
Well, you just push yourself off the magnetic waves coming off the planet.
Well, so my understanding of some versions of UFO technology is that you're breaking the gravitational force, so you're only ever falling, no matter what direction you go. You're just falling. So you want to go left, fall left. Fall forward,
you're changing.
fall up.
You just change the perspective
Of gravitational fields,
right.
yeah. So you're just falling whatever direction you're actually going. That's why you're stable at high speeds and less stable at low speeds.
What's your guy?
Of course, this is all theoretical. I don't know.
Bob
anything.
Lazar.
Bob Lazar talking about the drive that
Yeah, it
they
would.
tried to reverse engineer and they could not Like this thing had a gravitational force of whatever just sitting there. And he's like trying to explain it, like how that feels when you walk into a room and he's like, it pulls everything in.
It probably makes you feel a little sick.
Well, he said,
I would think so.
He said that one of the tests that they used to kind of figure out what was going on is they took a piece of what's called element 115.
Okay.
Which element 115 is not made on this planet. Like it's literally not a part of our standard table. We had to discover it. And we're just now starting to actually create, I think, something that can be stable for like 2 or 3 seconds, and it just, half-life, and then just turns into nothing. It's just like, and then we're done. So we can't even stabilize it. Like we're just now getting, I think, one that like stabilized for, more than a moment where it's like, oh my God,
So
look.
we're manufacturing it, though.
We're starting to. But so what he said was there was an energy source that utilizes this element 115 that generates basically, a fission reaction, but a controlled one.
Right.
Which then goes to amplifiers and emitters of anti-gravity. And so like you're saying, we're like, yeah, no matter what, technically we're falling because we're always going to move in this direction or that direction. It's just we can kind of control it now. It does it in the sense of where it breaks it and pushes it, like things just bend around it.
Right.
Because it's distorting it.
So I would imagine that there's different methods to get a similar end result, which would be flying.
But the thing that doesn't make sense that's really difficult to wrap your head around is when you're talking about that type of acceleration where you don't even see, I mean, it's not even a curve. It's just boom. Like the acceleration is through the roof on these things, which means whatever's happening within that field has no inertia
Initially.
with what it's moving through. It's almost like it's here and then it's there.
Victor Schauberger, who's one of the 3 major players for me, they say that he had developed some form of anti-gravitational UFO substance using airflow, right? They have like all the parts except for the one part that makes it work.
The flux capacitor.
But we look at it this way. Fish, when they're in the water, they can exert no energy and stay still while the water's flowing past them, right? And that's because of their shape. The way the water goes by, it actually propels them forward.
Oh, gives you like creates an eddy behind
just
it.
forward. And then there's another aspect of the water that is, as it goes by, the gills, as the water reoxygenates.
Reoxygenates. I can't do it.
We get oxygen.
You should hear me pronounce that.
The molecules expand
There you go.
behind the fish, equally pushing it forward. So this is just happening without the fish ever knowing what's going on. The fish isn't like, oh wow, the water behind me is so much more dense.
Right. No, it just knows that if it sits like this,
If we look at
like
spaceships, Flight of the Navigator, right?
Right.
Maybe the air, or what we call air, or what we could maybe call, negative space or what have you, there's a way to propel ourselves through it. We just don't know it.
Right.
We're the fish that have no idea what's going on. We have any idea what's going on, but no idea how that's going on.
Right. Like we're just like looking at birds and then realizing that you get a high and a low air pressure, which is how you can get the ability to like glide or, even.
Well, look at it this way. Birds, they don't propel themselves with fire.
Right.
They don't even know what fire is.
Yeah.
You go out into the forest, there are millions of things growing and doing things. You don't hear anything. All this nature and production is silent.
You're right.
Once you involve man and man's production, it's like clang, clang, boom, boom, zzz, and then you got the birds in South America, that are making the lyrebird that can mimic any noise a human can produce.
Okay.
These birds can do drum and bass. It's amazing.
Really? I want to look this
Talk
shit
about
up.
a beatboxing bird.
Nature's beatboxer.
Dude, that's dope.
I like that.
Where can I get me one?
Lyrebirds?
Lyre.
Oh, a lyre.
No, I think it's LIAR.
No, the instrument.
Yeah.
The bird is Lyre.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the instrument.
Yeah. I
Right.
believe so.
Well, that makes sense. Because, yeah. All right, but let's do for real. Let's we should take a break and then we should because we got it. So
Get a bite to eat.
On that note,
but again, anywhere to get a hold of you at shameless plug,
it's Dork Face Dork Evan Dub Lion.
Oh, a liar's like a glockenspiel. Sorry.
All right, cool.
DUBLION. And dope spaghetti. Don't forget it.
Nice. We never even. I have Philly D,
Mr. Gemini.
Miss JD.
as always, thanks, fam. We appreciate you. So be good to yourself. Be good to everyone else.
Much love.
Peace.
Peace.